everyone. My name is Jamon McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. Welcome, everyone, to the Juice Alert, episode number 28. If you have not subscribed to the Juice Alert already, be sure to do that right about now. You will not regret it. You can find me on YouTube, as well as podcasting platforms. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that great stuff. A very good show lined up, as always, for you ladies and gentlemen here today. I'm only covering 7 topics today, all NFL related. The only reason why I'm not covering so many topics today is because this whole week has kind of been very busy for me. I have not gotten a chance to watch all the NFL games from this past week that I want to watch. I don't really like to get on here and talk about games and things of that nature before I actually, dive into and watch these games, do the research, all that great stuff. But I did want to get a couple of opinions out to you guys before week number 14 gets underway. So I have 7 NFL topics to discuss today. We'll talk about the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky. We'll talk about Deshaun Watson, the Arizona Cardinals, Jalen Hurts, Ron Rivera, Joe Judge, Matt Ryan. We'll talk about Matt Ryan at the end of the show. We'll start the show out by talking about Aaron Rodgers, okay? But before I do get right into the show, I just wanted to say you guys can follow me on social media if you want to. My Instagram account is GHIMAN_MCKINNEY. And my personal Twitter account is at GHIMANMCKINNEY. Also, if you want to get updates in regards to the show, I have Instagram and Twitter accounts dedicated specifically to the Juice Alert. You can follow that account on Instagram at the Juice Alert _. And you can also follow that account on Twitter as well at the Juice Alert on Twitter. Okay, people, let's get started. I want to begin the show by talking about Aaron Rodgers. So this past week, Green Bay Packers starting quarterback Aaron Rodgers became the fastest player in NFL history to reach 400 career touchdown passes. A very tremendous accomplishment for Aaron Rodgers. He got to 400 career touchdown passes in 193 games, the fastest of all time. Drew Brees is the second fastest all time. He got to 400 career touchdown passes in 205 games played. Right now, currently, Aaron Rodgers is 7th all time in career touchdown passes. He only trails Phillip Rivers, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. And last week, the week before that, not this past week, but the week before that, Aaron Rodgers also became the 11th player in NFL history to eclipse 5,000 passing yards. And due to Aaron Rodgers accomplishing these amazing feats, and due to him piling up all these numbers, I thought to myself, where does Aaron Rodgers rank all time among all-time great quarterbacks? Where does Aaron Rodgers rank all-time? He's had a 13-year career as a starter, 16 total years if you count the 3 years they sat behind Brett Favre. He's an NFL veteran. He's been around for a long time. Where does he rank all-time? And in my opinion, I believe Aaron Rodgers is already a top 5 quarterback of all time. That might be a hot take to some of you out there, but in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is already a top 5 quarterback of all time as I speak today. The quarterbacks that I have ranked ahead of Aaron Rodgers, I'll just lift up my top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Number 1 is Tom Brady. Number 2 is Joe Montana. Number 3 is Peyton Manning. Number 4 is John Elway. And at the number 5 spot, I have Aaron Rodgers. Now, I can't put Aaron Rodgers in the top 3 all time just quite yet, simply because he's not accomplished enough to be in that group. All the quarterbacks that I have ranked ahead of Aaron Rodgers have won multiple Super Bowls and have been to multiple Super Bowls. So Aaron Rodgers still has some work to do if he wants to get into the top 3 of all time. But let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. What is Aaron Rodgers' legacy right now? In my opinion, Aaron Rodgers' legacy is a quarterback that has exceeded expectations. Aaron Rodgers succeeded Brett Favre, a Hall of Fame, all-time great quarterback, a guy that's won 3 MVPs, a guy that's won a Super Bowl in the past. Aaron Rodgers took over for that guy. And not only did Aaron Rodgers live up to the hype in Green Bay, Wisconsin, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers has surpassed Brett Favre. I know some Packers fans and some NFL fans still think Brett Favre is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Hey, if you want to stand on that hill, that's fine. Got no problem with that. But I disagree. I think Aaron Rodgers is a better all-time quarterback than Brett Favre. Brett Favre is the all-time leader in interceptions, people. That's a negative towards Brett Favre, in my opinion. I think Aaron Rodgers has proven to be a more accurate quarterback than Brett Favre. He's proven to be more consistent. I think that he's actually played at a higher level than what Brett Favre ever played at. You know, at least he's matched Brett Favre's level of play. And sometimes in big moments, I think Brett Favre, made way too many mistakes. He was just way too mistake prone, threw way too many dumb interceptions, wasn't as precise, wasn't as efficient as Aaron Rodgers is right now. And I don't think Brett Favre would fit in today's NFL, just because in today's NFL, if you make mistakes, you're not a very successful quarterback. And while Brett Favre had all the numbers and whatnot, he still made a ton of mistakes. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is just as good, if not better, than Brett Favre. And so I think that Aaron Rodgers has already surpassed Brett Favre, an all-time top 10 quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers, as I speak today, is at worst one of the 3 most talented quarterbacks of all time. And I say at worst because I think that, honestly, Aaron Rodgers is the most gifted thrower of the football of all time. He's the most talented thrower of the football of all time, in my opinion. Okay, I think the 3 most talented quarterbacks of all time are Dan Marino, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers in no particular order. I have Aaron Rodgers ahead of Dan Marino just because Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. In the biggest moments, he kind of shrunk a little bit. Aaron Rodgers has proven to elevate under pressure. And while Patrick Mahomes is having an amazing start to his career, I cannot put Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers as the most talented quarterback of all time, simply because Aaron Rodgers has been doing this for over a decade. Patrick Mahomes just got started. So let's see if Patrick Mahomes can keep this up before we, say he's better or more talented than Aaron Rodgers. I'm not so sure. And we've seen the Hail Marys from Aaron Rodgers versus the Detroit Lions. We've seen the Hail Marys versus the Arizona Cardinals in the playoffs. Same thing versus the Giants a couple of years ago in the playoffs. He had a Hail Mary in that game. We saw the throw to Jared Cook to win the game in Dallas, Texas, to upset the Cowboys on the road in the playoffs. And in my opinion, when evaluating how good a quarterback is, I always look at, okay, were you ever the best at your sport at some point? And I think Aaron Rodgers qualifies for that title. I truly believe, despite Tom Brady getting to multiple Super Bowls and winning multiple Super Bowls, during Aaron Rodgers' era, I think that Aaron Rodgers from 2011 to early 2017, I deemed that guy as the best quarterback in all of football. He had more influence on the outcome of games of any quarterback in NFL history, in my opinion. He was elevating not very good teams to the playoffs every single year. He won multiple MVPs during that stretch. He was very dominant. And if you could choose one quarterback at that point to start your franchise with, Aaron Rodgers, he should have been coming off the board at number 1 overall. From 2011 to 2017, I think Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback in all of football. I think that Russell Wilson might have overtaken Aaron Rodgers in early 2017 just for a little bit. Then Patrick Mahomes comes along and, he's overtaken everyone, okay? But listen, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, he's as close to a perfect quarterback as you can imagine, in my opinion. He's a guy that's had one of the 5 strongest arms, in the NFL consistently throughout his prime. He's been super accurate, arguably the most accurate quarterback of all time. Him or Drew Brees definitely hold that title. I mean, the all-platform throws, the throws on the run, Aaron Rodgers' deep ball accuracy, his touch, his ability to fit the ball into the tiniest of windows. His mobility was off the charts. It's still off the charts in my opinion. And for what it's worth, Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't make mistakes. He's got 400 career touchdown passes to 88 interceptions. The best touchdown to interception ratio of all time. The fact that Aaron Rodgers has an outside shot to get to 500 touchdown passes and throw for less than 100 interceptions by the time he gets there, that's astonishing. I don't know if he'll quite reach that mark, but we could be in a world where Aaron Rodgers one day finishes his career with like 520 touchdown passes to like 112 interceptions. That would be insane, okay? And when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, he elevates the troops around him. The Green Bay Packers, here's a fun fact about that organization. The Green Bay Packers have not drafted a single skilled position player on offense since 2002. Aaron Rodgers was drafted in 2005. They have not drafted a single running back, a single wide receiver, a single tight end in the first round of the draft since 2002. People can say, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he played with James Jones. He played with Randall Cobb. He played with Jordy Nelson. He played with Greg Jennings. He played with Devontae Adams. All true, but none of those guys have ever been like, a Megatron or a Randy Moss or a Jerry Rice. They've all been very good. They've never been consistently great, okay? Did I mention the fact that Aaron Rodgers, throughout his entire prime, has never consistently had a great running game? Aaron Rodgers just now started getting a very good running game with Aaron Jones. He's had Aaron Jones for about 2 seconds in his career so far. We'll see if Aaron Jones can keep this up. But outside of having Eddie Lacy for about a year, where Eddie Lacy popped off his rookie season, Aaron Rodgers has had to deal with wide receivers at running backs. His defenses have been terrible. Aaron Rodgers has been given one top 5 defense in his career. Do you know the time in which he got that top 5 defense? That top 5 defense came along in 2010, and guess what? During that year, the Packers won the Super Bowl. If Aaron Rodgers had as many top 10 defenses as Tom Brady or Joe Montana, even Russell Wilson earlier in his career, when Russell Wilson had an all-time great defense, you would see Aaron Rodgers winning multiple Super Bowls. But unfortunately, his defense has let him down from time to time. I can never forget the year of 2016, where the team was not good at all. And Aaron Rodgers, the team was struggling. During the season, he said, relax, we're going to be fine. He drags that sorry, no good Packers team all the way to the NFC title game. And they come up short, but they shouldn't have been there in the first place, people. When you see Aaron Rodgers getting blown out and destroyed in some of these playoff games, just know the team probably should not have been there in the first place, okay? And a big reason why I have Aaron Rodgers ahead of Drew Brees is because Aaron Rodgers consistently elevates bad teams and bad defenses. Drew Brees, he's not proven that he can do that. Drew Brees is the all-time great quarterback. He's definitely right there as far as all-time greats, but Drew Brees has not won an MVP in his career. Aaron Rodgers has. Drew Brees is a 500 quarterback in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers has a better career record in the playoffs than Drew Brees. He's above 500. And Aaron Rodgers has missed the playoffs only 3 times in 13 years, a couple of times due to injury. Drew Brees has missed the playoffs 9 times in his 20-year career. I don't want to hear anyone talk about Drew Brees being better than Aaron Rodgers until Drew Brees wins a second Super Bowl or gets to a second Super Bowl, okay? When you look at Aaron Rodgers' resume, he's a 2-time league MVP in the regular season. One of only 9 players to win 2 regular season MVPs or more, okay? He's got a Super Bowl MVP. He's second all-time in career pass rating. And by the way, honestly, I'll give him first all-time right now just because Patrick Mahomes is first all-time right now. But Mahomes' career just got started. It'd be very interesting to see how that pass rating kind of fluctuates throughout Patrick Mahomes' career. And Patrick Mahomes came into the perfect era to dominate as far as numbers go. There's been more and more quarterbacks throwing the ball constantly. The NFL is all about the spread offense, It's more easier than ever to put up numbers. That's all I'm saying. Not to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but I think I'm going to, give Aaron Rodgers that slight edge for now just because he's been doing it for over a decade. So Aaron Rodgers, he's got the second best pass rating of all time, basically first all time if you take away Patrick Mahomes. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler in 13 years as a starter, so 9 Pro Bowls in 13 years starting. That's pretty good. Best touchdown to interception ratio of all time. He's 7th all-time already in touchdown passes. He's 11th all-time already in career passing yards. I think that Aaron Rodgers will probably be top 5 in pretty much almost every single statistical category by the time he retires, just because Aaron Rodgers, he's only 37 years old. He still has about 4 to 5, maybe 6 or 7 years of football left in him to pile onto those numbers, okay? And I know what you've been saying throughout this whole episode. You're probably saying Aaron Rodgers only has 1 Super Bowl. Here's a fun fact about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers in his career has never failed to score 20 points in 18 career playoff games. Here's another fun fact. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl by the score of 13-3 versus the LA Rams. I know stats aren't everything and whatnot, but Aaron Rodgers on his worst days is going to get you 20 points in the playoffs. By the way, in Aaron Rodgers' 8 career playoff losses, his defense has given up 36 points per game. I'm sorry, but you cannot win Super Bowls consistently in the NFL if your defense is giving up over 36 points per game. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen, okay? And like I mentioned earlier, when you see Aaron Rodgers losing to the 49ers, losing to the Falcons, a couple of years ago in an NFC title game. When you see him losing to these powerhouse teams, just know Green Bay probably overachieved, and they probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. Green Bay overachieves with Aaron Rodgers a lot. And for what it's worth, Aaron Rodgers is already 4th all-time in career touchdown passes in the playoffs. Let me repeat that. Aaron Rodgers is 4th all-time in touchdown passes for his career in the playoffs. He's tied with Peyton Manning, but the significance of that stat right there is Peyton Manning has the same amount of touchdown passes as Aaron Rodgers, and he's played in 9 more career playoff games. That's astonishing. Not to mention Aaron Rodgers, he's 5th all-time in playoff passer rating. Aaron Rodgers has done his part. He's done more than enough to get Green Bay to Super Bowls. At least he's tried to do so, okay? He's done his part. His team and his coaching staff have constantly let him down. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers plays in a small market in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A market that doesn't attract free agents, okay? It's a lot of homegrown players. Green Bay has to rely on draft picks a lot. He can't go to his front office like a lot of quarterbacks and say, hey, man, go give me some help because, well, Green Bay doesn't have an owner, okay? So keep that in mind, people. And if you take away Tom Brady and Joe Montana and you just eliminate those guys, Aaron Rodgers' all-time resume stacks up with nearly anybody in history. Let's take away Tom Brady. Let's take away those 30 playoff wins and 6 career Super Bowl victories. Let's take away Joe Montana's 4 career Super Bowl rings and 16 career playoff wins. The most amount of wins all time in the playoffs, if you take those guys away, are 14 wins. That's held by Terry Bradshaw, John Elway, and Peyton Manning. Aaron Rodgers has 10 career playoff wins. So it's pretty realistic to think that Aaron Rodgers in the next 2 to 3 seasons, and maybe this year, if he wins a Super Bowl, he'll be at 14 career playoff victories. So if you take away Tom Brady and Joe Montana from the picture, Aaron Rodgers, his resume pretty much stacks up with anybody. It's pretty much, take away Bill Belichick from the current head coaches in the NFL. Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin, they have a case to be the best head coaches in all football. But unfortunately, Bill Belichick is so dominant that he takes the cake most years. So that's how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is an all-time great quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback of all time already. At worst, a top 10 quarterback of all time right now. He definitely has a chance to add to his resume. I think winning a 2nd Super Bowl will definitely validate his legacy once and for all. And I do think that he has a chance to get a 2nd Super Bowl this season. I believe Aaron Rodgers will win a 2nd Super Bowl before his career is over. So those are all the reasons that I believe Aaron Rodgers is already a top 5 quarterback of all time. Okay, let me talk about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. So the Arizona Cardinals right now are 6-6, heading into week 13 of the 2020 NFL season. They've got a big road game versus the New York Giants this week. Will Arizona win that game? Probably not. We'll see. It's pretty much a toss-up game. I'd probably favor Arizona, but I'm not going to be shocked if New York wins that game. New York's a pretty decent team this year, despite not having a great record. But the Arizona Cardinals, they're going through a rough stretch. Okay, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. And they started the year 5-2. They had a 5-2 record through 7 games, and right now they're 6-6, heading into Week 14, and they're currently out of the playoff picture if it started today. The Minnesota Vikings right now hold that final playoff spot as the 7th seed. Okay, now I picked the Arizona Cardinals to go 9-7 and make the playoffs this year in 2020. I think that they actually have a chance to still do that. I'm going to hold on to my prediction that Arizona makes the playoffs this year. I think it's definitely possible they could go 3-1 over their next 4 games, their final 4 games. But regardless of what I think, whether they make the playoffs or not, I think people are overreacting in regards to the Arizona Cardinals. I think they really are seriously overreacting, okay? The narrative over the past 5 weeks is now that, Kyler Murray has fallen. He's been exposed. Kyler Murray ain't no good. Kyler Murray can't throw. This team sucks. The last 5 games have been solely on Kyler Murray's shoulders. He's blown the season. Cliff Kingsbury's overrated. This Cardinals team's a fraud. Time out, folks. Time out. If you actually look at the big picture of things, the Arizona Cardinals are exactly where they need to be right now. They're exactly where they need to be. Keep in mind, this Arizona Cardinals team was the worst team in the NFL in 2018, led by Josh Rosen. A year later, they get rid of Josh Rosen. They get rid of their head coach. They bring in Cliff Kingsbury. They bring in Kyler Murray. They instantly improve. This year, this team is in the playoff picture, led by Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Okay? They just added DeAndre Hopkins to their team in the offseason thanks to Bill O'Brien, because Bill O'Brien, well, he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but hey, Arizona, they took advantage of that. Arizona has a very good young team, okay? And like I said, this team is competing for a playoff spot right now as we speak today in a division with the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. You know what those 3 teams have in common? They've represented the NFC 3 of the last 6 seasons. In 3 of the last 6 seasons, you've seen the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Rams either make it to or win the Super Bowl. All 3 of those franchises have been to Super Bowls in the last 6 years, and Arizona is competing in the division with them. They're right there, people. Okay? Whether you think they're a playoff team or not, guess what? If they miss the playoffs, it's okay. You want to know why it's okay? It's only Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's 2nd season. A lot of you folks thought that Arizona was only going to win about 5 games this year. I heard a lot of people say Arizona's going to be picking top 5 once again. They're no good. They've already surpassed your expectations, okay? They're going to finish the season anywhere from 7 to 9 wins, people. This team is on the rise. The future of the Arizona Cardinals is very, very bright. Whether they make the playoffs this year or not, okay? And people are saying, Kyler Murray, he's falling off. He's no good anymore. If your takeaway from the last 5 games is that Kyler Murray is shell-shocked, that he's done for, that he can no longer throw the football, that he's not a great quarterback, you're not watching these Arizona Cardinals games close enough. Either you're not doing that, or you're just a Kyler Murray hater that wants to push a narrative. Kyler Murray on the season, through 12 games played, has 32 touchdowns total on the year. He's only thrown 10 interceptions. He has a 94 pass rating and is completing 67% of his throws. And you're telling me that guy can't throw? And you're telling me this guy is finished? Folks, Kyler Murray is only scratching the surface, okay? He's a top 10 quarterback right now. Anyone that thinks that Kyler Murray is not a top 10 quarterback, I strongly disagree, and I question what games you're watching. You're not watching enough Kyler Murray football. You're just not. Kyler Murray is carrying this Arizona Cardinals team. He's taking the league by storm, and he's only in his 2nd season in the NFL. If you look at some of the younger quarterbacks in the NFL, take out Patrick Mahomes. Outside of Deshaun Watson and maybe Josh Allen, what young quarterback are you taking to start your franchise with today over Kyler Murray? It's hard to find me a bunch of quarterbacks that I would take today over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is having a better year than Lamar Jackson. I'll tell you that much. He's by far the best quarterback from his draft class. Arizona's hit on a quarterback. That's exciting. Arizona should be excited this year. And by the way, the rest of the NFL better hope the Arizona Cardinals actually don't make the playoffs this year. You want to know why? Because if they do make the playoffs this year, that tells me they're ahead of schedule. They're much ahead of the curve. They should not be competing for a playoff spot at this point in the Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury era. If you would have told me that 2 years after the Arizona Cardinals were the worst team in all of football, they might have a chance to make the playoffs in the best division in all of football, I'd tell you Arizona is way ahead of schedule, people. So, listen, people, stop saying Kyler Murray can't throw the football. Stop saying Cliff Kingsbury can't coach. Stop saying this team is done for. This team is right where they need to be. They're improving. They're a contending team this year for a playoff spot. They could very well get into the playoffs. That'd be very exciting. They're about an offensive line piece away from really being taken seriously. You know, they might need another pass rusher. Chandler Jones coming back this next year off of injury definitely is going to help this team out. So if you add a pass rusher, if you maybe add one more good offensive lineman, maybe a linebacker, maybe a tight end or two, if you add a couple of pieces to this Arizona Cardinals roster, I guarantee you this team is going to be a playoff team, next year, 100%. And this year, they very well could make the playoffs despite having a very tough schedule and despite playing in a very tough division. Arizona is exactly where they need to be. Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury is one of the best young coaches in all of football. Kenyon Drake's an underrated running back. DeAndre Hopkins might be the best wide receiver in all of football. They've got a good young secondary. Budda Baker, Byron Murphy, Patrick Peterson. He's still getting it done. Steve Keim, their GM, is very, very good. He's a very comparable GM. Steve Keim might be the most underrated general manager in all of football. He's that good at his job. Arizona, they're definitely moving in the right direction. And do not panic because ultimately, the Arizona Cardinals are right where they need to be. So, I want to talk about Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears. Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears are going to be facing off against Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans in Week 14 of the 2020 NFL season, okay? It's going to be a battle between two former first-round picks of the 2017 NFL Draft. Obviously, Deshaun Watson fell to the Houston Texans at number 12 overall. They actually traded up to get him that year. And Mitchell Trubisky, the 49ers trade up, not the 49ers, pardon me, the Chicago Bears traded up one spot with the 49ers to grab Mitchell Trubisky and to make him potentially their next franchise quarterback. Well, we're 4 years in, and that has not worked out for the Chicago Bears. As we speak today, Mitchell Trubisky, he's an NFL bust, and Deshaun Watson, he's a top 5 quarterback in all football. I think a lot of people can acknowledge that Patrick Mahomes was a little bit of a surprise. I don't think most people anticipated, Patrick Mahomes becoming the best quarterback in all football, at least this early, And by the way, I think it's safe to say that Patrick Mahomes landed in almost the perfect situation for him. He inherited an A-plus head coach, A-plus weapons, a very good offensive line, very good running backs, and for what it's worth, the Kansas City Chiefs were winning games and getting to the playoffs before Patrick Mahomes got there, okay? And I think that when it comes to Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes in that draft, I actually had Patrick Mahomes ranked second among quarterbacks in that draft class. I thought he was a little bit raw, but I thought that if he went to the right team, he could become a very good franchise quarterback. And Deshaun Watson, I was all in on the guy, okay? I thought that Deshaun Watson was obviously the safest pick of that draft. I think that's very fair to say. And DeShone Kizer, he was a wild card. He went in the second round. I didn't think he was going to do much in Cleveland. I don't think he was put in a great position to succeed. And well, he hasn't done anything in the NFL to this point, okay? But here's the thing, people. I never bought into Mitchell Trubisky. I just never did. I saw a guy that had one good season at UNC, and it was good, but it wasn't great. I didn't see anything great from Mitchell Trubisky. I saw a guy with an average arm, nothing special. Sure, he had some mobility to his game, but I didn't see him being as dynamic of an athlete as a Lamar Jackson or a Deshaun Watson or a Kyler Murray. I didn't think Mitchell Trubisky had that it factor. I felt that Trubisky was kind of a weird fit for Chicago because he's got an average arm. And in Chicago, you have to throw into the windy, cold weather. You need a big-time arm in order to cut through that windy Chicago wind. Jay Cutler, despite his, bad attitude, he fit Chicago for a long time because they had a very strong arm. Trubisky, that deep ball flutters in the Chicago wind, okay? I was not sold on Trubisky, and I said at the time, the Chicago Bears will forever regret passing on Deshaun Watson in favor of Mitchell Trubisky. And I think that I'm being proven right as I speak today, okay? And I'm going to give the Chicago Bears a pass for passing on Patrick Mahomes because a lot of people didn't see this coming from Patrick Mahomes. I've said this on multiple occasions. I compare the 2017 NFL draft to the 1984 NBA draft. The draft in which Akeem Olajuwon went number 1 overall and Michael Jordan went number 3 overall in that draft. And now, I'm not trying to anoint Patrick Mahomes, but it's not crazy to think that Patrick Mahomes could very well be on his way to becoming the Michael Jordan of the NFL. He's that good, okay? He's got A-plus weapons. He's the most talented quarterback in all football. He's playing for a great organization. He has the best team in all football. Kansas City very well could repeat this year. They've got a very talented team, and as long as the Chiefs can keep their infrastructure at the top in place, they're going to put Super Bowl caliber rosters on the table for Patrick Mahomes to deal with, okay? And Mahomes, his talent warrants winning multiple Super Bowls, okay? So he very well could become the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson, he's not been as supported as Patrick Mahomes. He lands with Bill O'Brien and the dysfunctional Houston Texans. And while I think that Houston's going to fix those things, he may never get the amount of Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes probably gets to if Patrick Mahomes wins multiple Super Bowls, But in a hypothetical world, if Chicago took Deshaun Watson over Patrick Mahomes, was anyone going to completely bash the Chicago Bears? I don't think so. Just like no one bashed the Houston Rockets for taking Akeem Olajuwon over Michael Jordan. Because while Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Deshaun Watson's the top 5 quarterback. While Patrick Mahomes is probably going to win multiple MVPs in his career, you mean to tell me Deshaun Watson can't at least get 1 MVP by the time he retires if he stays healthy? While Patrick Mahomes might win like 3 or 4 Super Bowls before his career is over, it's not impossible to think that he could do that. You mean to tell me if Deshaun Watson doesn't get a better head coach by his side, he can't get you at least 1 Super Bowl? That's what I'm saying, people. Hakeem Olajuwon won NBA titles. He won a regular season MVP. And while he was never considered the greatest basketball player of all time, he's top 10 to top 15 all time. He's an all-time great. That's how I view Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is the Hakeem Olajuwon of that draft. Patrick Mahomes, he's the Michael Jordan of that draft. And Mitchell Trubisky, he's a bust. He's no good. I'm sorry. He's just not a good quarterback, And by the way, Chicago Bears fans want to bring up Mitchell Trubisky's record. Oh, look at Mitchell Trubisky's record. Look at his win-loss record. He's above 500. Folks, Mark Sanchez has gotten to multiple AFC title games. Case Keenum has gotten to an NFC title game. You can win games with not great quarterback play in the NFL. But win-loss records, that doesn't neglect my eyes. When I watch Mitchell Trubisky play, I see a bad quarterback, a bad starting quarterback, below average. And I keep asking Chicago Bears fans, right now today, what starting quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky better than? You can't name those guys. And even if you do name some of those quarterbacks, that list is very short. Alex Smith, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. I take all 3 of those quarterbacks over Mitchell Trubisky right now. Trubisky's not good. He's not good. Okay? He's been a bust. He should have never been drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. And quite frankly, the Chicago Bears, they're going to have to pay for it. The Chicago Bears will forever regret passing on Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes in favor of Mitchell Trubisky. And unless Mitchell Trubisky turns his career around very quickly, Mitchell Trubisky is going to go down as one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Okay, folks, let's shift to the next topic right here. So Carson Wentz is no longer the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, at least for this week during week 14 of the 2020 NFL season versus the New Orleans Saints. Jalen Hurts was named the starter midway through the week, and Carson Wentz, he's now on the bench. Carson Wentz did get benched for Jalen Hurts midway through the Green Bay Packers game last week. Carson Wentz was not playing particularly well. Jalen Hurts, he came in and did some good things versus Green Bay. It wasn't a perfect day. It's not like Jalen Hurts was, lighting the world on fire, but he did throw a very beautiful touchdown pass. I think it was to Jalen Reagor. It might have been to someone else. If it wasn't someone else, forgive me. It's the wide receiver that caught that touchdown pass. That name is slipping through my mind right now. But either way, Jalen Hurts, he threw a beautiful touchdown pass. He extended some plays with his legs. He showed off some mobility. And overall, the team versus Green Bay looked better when Jalen Hurts was running the offense. Obviously, they still lost the game, but Jalen Hurts gave the Philadelphia Eagles some spark of hope during that Green Bay Packers game. And I think that it's pretty safe to say that Carson Wentz has played his way out of the starting job. I know a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans want to make excuses for Carson Wentz to say, oh, his offensive line is awful. His coaching staff isn't helping him. He's in the worst situation in the world. Well, folks, here's the thing. Joe Burrow, with not a good Cincinnati Bengals roster, was balling. He was balling out this year before he got hurt. Deshaun Watson, have you heard of him? His roster and coaching staff isn't very good. He's still playing at a high level. Justin Herbert, he's playing at a pretty high level despite not playing on a very good Chargers team. So Carson Wentz has no one but himself to blame. He was playing like arguably the worst starting quarterback in the entire NFL. I mean, it's hard to name very many quarterbacks that were playing worse than Carson Wentz, when he was starting games for the Philadelphia Eagles. And anytime you have a second round pick on your roster at quarterback that's a rookie, you need to eventually play the guy if the starting quarterback for your team is not giving you great production. And people can say, oh, he's a second round pick. Jalen Hurts, he's a second round pick. Folks, Russell Wilson was a second round pick. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. You never know when it comes to these quarterbacks. But here's the thing, people. I truly believe that one of these 3 following people could be gone from Philadelphia next year. Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson, and Howie Roseman. There's a very good chance that at least one of those 3 people is no longer a part of the Philadelphia Eagles organization next year. Obviously, Doug Peterson is the head coach right now currently. Obviously, Howie Roseman is the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Carson Wentz, he's the former number 2 overall pick from the 2016 NFL draft. He's the quarterback. He's a quarterback on the team right now. He's not the starting quarterback, obviously, because Jalen Hurts is starting right now, okay? But one of those 3, or maybe 2 of those 3, or maybe all 3 of those guys could be gone from the Philadelphia Eagles by next year. The Philadelphia Eagles as an organization right now are trying to figure out, okay, who's truly a part of the problem right now? Who needs to potentially go next year? Because here's the thing. If Jalen Hurts balls out and the team makes the playoffs because of Jalen Hurts, and by the way, Philadelphia is still in the NFC East division race, as good as Washington and New York are playing, the Philadelphia Eagles are not mathematically eliminated from this division. If Jalen Hurts leads this team to the playoffs, you very well could see Carson Wentz getting traded by next season because he's not been playing particularly well. And I'm not sure if Doug Peterson trusts Carson Wentz to win football games anymore. Based on the way Doug Peterson is coaching, I'm not sure he's all in on Carson Wentz anymore. I don't think Doug Peterson has never really been completely all in on Carson Wentz, for the most part. But yeah, if Jalen Hurts balls out, then you might need to trade Carson Wentz. There may not be a whole lot of trade suitors just because he's played so poorly. And it's pretty hard to get rid of Carson Wentz if you cut him just because because of the salary cap situation that you put yourself into. Carson Wentz is owed a lot of money over these next couple of years. It'd be very expensive to just cut him. I could see a team like the Indianapolis Colts trading for Carson Wentz. So yeah, man, we could see a situation where Carson Wentz is out the building if Jalen Hurts balls out. However, people, if Jalen Hurts looks every bit as bad as Carson Wentz and there's no significant change to the outcome of these football games with Jalen Hurts being inserted as the starter, then guess what? Doug Peterson, he's in trouble. And he could get fired by the end of the year because if Jalen Hurts can't provide this team with a spark, then it might be a Doug Peterson problem in regards to Carson Wentz because, well, Carson Wentz, you could say, oh, he stinks. It's not Doug Peterson's fault. Well, guess what? If Jalen Hurts stinks and he's not playing well, then Doug Peterson, he doesn't have much leverage at that point outside the Super Bowl that he's won, okay? So that's where the Philadelphia Eagles are at as an organization. Right now, Philadelphia is trying to figure out who needs to go and who needs to stay. And by the way, Howie Roseman, his job is just flat out up in the air just because he's whiffed on a lot of draft picks and this roster is not very good. He's a big reason why that's the case. He's not drafted very well over the past 3 to 4 seasons. He's not made the necessary moves to help improve this team. And ultimately, it's a win-loss business. It's a results-oriented business in the NFL. So we're going to see what Jalen Hurts has versus the New Orleans Saints. I actually think Philadelphia has a very good chance to win that game. I could be crazy thinking that. I know New Orleans is very talented, but they're traveling on the road to face Philadelphia, and I think Jalen Hurts might have something up his sleeve for that New Orleans Saints defense. Call me crazy, but I think that game is going to be closer than most people think, okay? So that is where the Philadelphia Eagles are as a football team. Making the move to bench Carson Wentz in favor of Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, was the right move just because he's been playing so poorly. And listen, last week, I said the Philadelphia Eagles need to bench Carson Wentz. He's playing that awful. He's not been good. You cannot get worse quarterback play, in my opinion, than what Carson Wentz is giving you right now. You need to see what you have in Jalen Hurts because, like I said last week, if you're evaluating a rookie quarterback, you need to know if that guy is the future of your franchise, ideally, at the very least, after 3 seasons. And this year is a very good opportunity to evaluate Jalen Hurts for the future, okay? Because Carson Wentz, in the past, he's been banged up a little bit. He's all of a sudden declining out of nowhere. And you need to see what you have in Jalen Hurts, okay? So that's how I feel about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, if Jalen Hurts balls out with this Philadelphia Eagles roster the rest of the way in 2020 and the Philadelphia Eagles find themselves winning the NFC East because of Jalen Hurts, more than likely the Carson Wentz era in Philadelphia could be ending very, very quickly. Let's now transition to the Washington football team. I truly believe that Ron Rivera, the head coach for the Washington football team, has completely changed the culture in Washington. Ron Rivera, so far, has been a hit for Washington. Washington last year was a 3-13 football team. They were not very good. They were awful to watch. And this year, not only does Washington have a chance to double their win total, the culture has completely changed under head coach Ron Rivera. This team is finding ways to win games. Ron Rivera, in my opinion, might very well be building a future Super Bowl contender. In fact, in the offseason, I said that Ron Rivera will one day build the Washington football team up to being a Super Bowl contender. A lot of people laughed at me. A lot of people called me crazy. And ultimately, I think I'm going to be proven right. The Washington football team is moving in the right direction under head coach Ron Rivera. Okay, now, obviously, there are still some questions to be answered. What's going to happen with former first-round pick Dwayne Haskins? Is he the quarterback in the future? Are they going to move on from him? are they going to draft a quarterback? Is Alex Smith the future? Is Kyle Allen the future? Personally, I like Dwayne Haskins a lot, but I'm not sure if the coaching staff is behind him. We shall see. I do think Washington needs to add another wide receiver. I do think Washington also could use another linebacker to really complete that defense. But in my opinion, Washington's a couple pieces away from being a legitimate contender in the NFC. This team is well coached. And you can tell from the way that Washington plays football, this team believes in Ron Rivera. This team is on the rise, definitely. The future is bright in Washington, D.C. And I never thought that I'd be saying that when it comes to a team being owned by Daniel Snyder, who has proven to be a terrible owner. But it seems like Daniel Snyder is taking a step back. He finally got a very good head coach in Ron Rivera. We've seen Washington have good head coaches in the past, and they've kind of moved on from them way too quickly. Hopefully, Ron Rivera can continue to win games in order to keep his job, because I think that he's doing a great job. Man, Washington, they've got some very good young players. Chase Young, Antonio Gibson, Montez Sweat, even Matt Ioannidis is very good. He'll return from injury next year. Terry McLaurin, to me, is a young Antonio Brown without the baggage. I mentioned Chase Young a little bit earlier, a couple of seconds ago. I don't think it's crazy to think that Chase Young, in about the next half decade, I think that at some point, within the next 5 years, at some point, we'll be talking about Chase Young as potentially being one of, if not the best defensive player in the entire NFL. He's that good, people. He definitely could win Rookie of the Year as far as a defensive player goes. He very well could win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, man, I like the way that Washington is rolling this year. They just got a big-time win versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, that win told me all I need to know about the direction Washington is going in, okay? I kind of felt that Washington was probably going to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. I said, it's the Cowboys. They choked. But no, Washington, the very next week, they followed that up by defeating an undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers team. That's when I knew that the culture has officially changed in Washington. Ron Rivera, he's doing a heck of a job. He's been battling cancer all year. A lot of people criticize the move they made to go to Alex Smith this year. I think long term it could affect Ron Rivera if he, moves on from Dwayne Haskins too fast. But I gotta say, Alex Smith, he looks as good as new, man. He's playing some good football. He's not wowing you. He's not, knocking your socks off. He's not playing like a top 10 quarterback. But there definitely seems to be a spark that Alex Smith has lit under this Washington football team. I think that Alex Smith is the right guy, probably at least this year, to probably lead Washington. I think Dwayne Haskins probably could have done some similar things to what Alex Smith is doing if you continue to let him play throughout the year. But hey, we'll never know, man, okay? I don't think Dwayne Haskins is completely done. I think that he still has a future in the NFL somewhere, whether it be in Washington or with another team if he gets traded and whatnot, okay? It could be done for completely. We'll see. But, man, I got to say, Washington, they're moving in the right direction with Ron Rivera. Like I said, they're definitely a team that's on the rise. And I'm confident that Ron Rivera is going to turn Washington into a Super Bowl contending team one day. No doubt about it. Okay, let's talk about the New York Football Giants. The Giants, shockingly, knocked off the Seattle Seahawks 12-17 this past week in Week 13 of the 2020 NFL season. And a lot of people are bashing the Seattle Seahawks in regards to this game. They're saying, oh, look at Seattle. They're terrible. They're no good. They lost to the Giants. And that's fair. That was a bad loss for Seattle. But it seems like no one is giving the New York Giants the credit they deserve. Joe Judge and that New York Giants team came into Seattle and they handled their business with a backup quarterback. I know Daniel Jones is not the greatest quarterback in the world, but he's better than Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is not a good quarterback, people. And the New York Giants went into Seattle, Washington, and they defeated the Seattle Seahawks with Colt McCoy. And they flat out won the game. There was no trick plays. It wasn't a fluke. They won because they were the better team on the field that past Sunday. You can make the argument Seattle has better players than the Giants. I'd agree with you, but it didn't matter. You want to know why it didn't matter? Because the Giants, they came into that game prepared, and they came into that game ready to handle business, and Joe Judge and the coaching staff definitely deserve a ton of credit, okay? When you look at Joe Judge and this New York Giants team, the players seem to respect Joe Judge. There's a presence about him. Joe Judge seems to be making adjustments. He's changed the culture for the New York Giants. He's the perfect head coach for New York. He seems like a blue-collar guy that's very tough. You know, he's all about hard-nosed, smash-mouth football. And you think about New York Giants football from the past. The Giants have played great defense. They've ran the ball effectively. They've been tough. They've been hard-nosed. And that's the vibe that I get from Joe Judge. Joe Judge is a no-nonsense guy, and he's changed that culture very quickly in New York, okay? And this team seems to be improving every single week under Joe Judge. Jason Garrett and Patrick Graham also deserve a lot of credit. Patrick Graham is the defensive coordinator for the Giants, and Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator for the Giants. I didn't know if Jason Garrett was going to work as the offensive coordinator for the Giants, but with limited weapons, I think Jason Garrett is doing a decent job. Patrick Graham, he's definitely helped turn around this defense, okay? The Giants' offensive line has improved tremendously. Their defensive line has improved tremendously. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams. These are guys that Dave Gettleman has put his name to. He obviously didn't draft Leonard Williams, but he traded for Leonard Williams. So I think you got to give Dave Gettleman a lot of credit, man. He's definitely doing a decent job up to this point as being the general manager of the New York Giants. I don't think that he's gotten enough credit for some of the moves that he's made. I've been very critical of Dave Gettleman in the past, but while also being critical of Dave Gettleman, when I'm proven to be wrong about something, I have no problem coming on here and admitting, hey, I was wrong, Dave Gettleman. Hey, you deserve a W, okay? So, look, I'm not trying to give Dave Gettleman a bunch of brownie points right here, but some of the moves that he's made and the direction that he's decided to go in regards to building up this Giants team, you know, as far as, you know, building this team up front. He deserves credit for that because the offensive line and the defensive line have improved tremendously, okay? And also, he went out and spent some money in free agency. James Bradbury, Blake Martinez, they're pretty good. I really like the Bradbury signing. Didn't know the Martinez signing would work for the Giants, but so far, it's been a hit. And when Saquon Barkley comes back next year, this Giants offense is going to be a whole new animal. And I really think the Giants need to add to their wide receiver core. Obviously, you have Darius Slayton, you know, but outside of Darius Slayton, it's a lot of question marks. So if you want to get the most out of Daniel Jones, you need to draft him another wide receiver, or you need to sign for or trade for a wide receiver. We've seen what getting DeAndre Hopkins has done for Kyler Murray. I think that Kyler Murray was going to improve as a quarterback regardless, but Kyler Murray went from being a very good quarterback to a borderline great quarterback with DeAndre Hopkins. We've seen Josh Allen go from being average to a good quarterback last year to an MVP candidate this year with Stephon Diggs. It's time that Daniel Jones gets a legitimate weapon to throw to outside of Darius Slayton, even if it's not a number one wide receiver. Just get him a couple more weapons because the Giants, they're not quite dynamic enough on offense on the outside wide receiver for most teams to take them seriously, okay? So the Giants, they're moving in the right direction. I think they've hit on their head coach. The final denominator is Daniel Jones worth banking on long term? I do believe Daniel Jones is going to get another year with the Giants just because they're not going to be in position to draft Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. I'm still not sold on Daniel Jones. I think that he's a below average to an average quarterback right now. I'm not completely sold on the guy, but the last couple of weeks he's improved. And, you know, we'll see, man. We'll see if he continues to improve. Not sold on Jones yet, but I could be sold, you know, by next year. I'm just in wait and see mode with Daniel Jones. I don't want to write the guy off. I don't want to anoint the guy either. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to observe, and I'm going to see if Daniel Jones can prove to me that he is a legitimate franchise quarterback. I'm not quite there yet with Daniel Jones. The physical tools do not, pop off my screen. He's definitely a very good athlete. I like to see him try to use his legs more. To me, he has an average arm. He's pretty accurate when given time to throw. Not very good at sensing pressure. Definitely needs to cut down the turnovers. He has done that over the past couple of weeks. But again, I just kind of want to wait and see with Daniel Jones. I want to see him continue to play more games. He'll probably get another year to be the starter in New York. We'll see if he's up to the challenge. But the New York Giants definitely are moving in the right direction, led by head coach Joe Judge. No doubt about it. Okay, everyone, let's wrap up the show by talking about Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons are having a disappointing season in 2020. The team right now is 4-8 on the season. They're going to be picking top 10 in the draft. Their head coach, Dan Quinn, did get fired earlier in the season. But folks, we need to have a discussion about Matt Ryan, okay? Falcons fans, I'm here to tell you, guess what? I won. I've won the Matt Ryan battle. You want to know why? Because in the offseason, I specifically told all you Falcons fans, and all of you were disliking my content, you were hitting me up in the comment section, you were hitting me up on social media, you were making YouTube videos about me, bashing me, calling me all sorts of names, trolling me, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You know nothing about football. You're dumb. You're stupid. In the offseason, I said Matt Ryan was overrated and that he was no longer a top 10 quarterback. And guess what? I've won the battle. Matt Ryan this year has lost to Taysom Hill twice. Taysom Hill, heading into this season, has thrown 18 career passes in the NFL. And Matt Ryan lost to him twice. And everyone talks about the Atlanta Falcons blowing a whole bunch of leads late in games because, their defense stinks. Their defense is awful. How about we take into account the fact that Matt Ryan just might not be a closer? You take on the personality of your quarterback. Your football team does. Your football team takes on the personality of your quarterback. And Matt Ryan, he's not a closer. He's not a finisher. And part of the reason why the Falcons continue to blow these leads is because Matt Ryan does not finish the deal in these big games and in these big spots. The Atlanta Falcons do not have a finisher as their quarterback, and as a result, they come up short time and time again. And yes, bad defense and bad coaching is a part of it. But we must hold the quarterback accountable because Matt Ryan, he continues to dodge blame, and I don't know why. The last 3 seasons, Matt Ryan, as a starter, is 18-25. 18 wins, 25 losses. Keep in mind, Matt Ryan has had one of the best wide receiver corps in the entire NFL. He's had good tight ends. He's had good running backs. And Falcons fans can talk about the offensive line. The offensive line is much improved this year. It's better than last year. Right now, today, Matt Ryan is not a top 10 quarterback. I said he was not a top 10 quarterback heading into the year. And guess what? Nothing has changed. Right now, it's not arguable. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson are clearly better than Matt Ryan. Lamar Jackson is playing better than Matt Ryan. He's been playing better the last 3 seasons. Kyler Murray's playing better. Drew Brees is playing better. Josh Allen is playing better. Tom Brady's playing better. Ben Roethlisberger's playing better. I can even make an argument Jared Goff is having a better season. And even the rookies, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, are clearly more talented than Matt Ryan. And if you just isolate the names and you just isolate the individual play and you take away Matt Ryan's name, if we didn't know who Matt Ryan was, if he was some random dude off the street that was just dropped into the NFL and we just watch these guys play on a week-to-week basis, we know who's the better quarterback. It would be Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Who is picking Matt Ryan over Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow today to start their franchise? Not many people. Not very many smart people at that, okay? And by the way, I know a lot of you Falcons fans are thinking, why do you think Matt Ryan's overrated? I'll tell you why. There's just nothing special about Matt Ryan. There never has been anything special about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has always had an average arm. Matt Ryan has never been the most mobile quarterback. Matt Ryan has held onto the ball way too long, way too often. At times, Matt Ryan, in the biggest spots, on the biggest stages, and in the biggest positions, has made mistakes, has come up small. And Matt Ryan has never been the most physically gifted quarterback in the NFL. He's just never been among the top tier quarterbacks as far as physical talent. And I've said this time and time again for multiple different quarterbacks. If you take away their best and worst season, whatever else you get is basically what they are. And if you take away Matt Ryan's 2016 season, a season in which he completed 69.9% of his throws, a season where he threw 38 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, had nearly 5,000 passing yards, and went 11-5. If you take that season away, in the 11 other seasons, if you take away his rookie year as well, okay? If you evaluate the 11 other seasons, if you take away Matt Ryan's best and worst season, his rookie year, and the year in which he won MVP, if you evaluate the other 11 seasons, how many times has Matt Ryan had a pass rating of 100 or more? One time in 11 years. How many seasons has Matt Ryan had in which he's thrown 30 touchdown passes or more? 2 of those 11 seasons. In Matt Ryan's 13-year career, he's missed the playoffs 7 times. In the playoffs, in Matt Ryan's career, he has a 4-6 record. Matt Ryan was a part of the biggest choke job in sports history. Matt Ryan, in the playoffs, has gotten blown out by Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, the 2016 NFL MVP should have went to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was carrying a very sorry, not good Packers team to the playoffs. Matt Ryan was riding the coattails of those weapons, and Kyle Shanahan, Aaron Rodgers, led the NFL in touchdown passes. He should have been the league MVP. Everyone knows it, but the voters were too convinced about Matt Ryan's storyline. Ooh, Matt Ryan, he's the new shiny toy. Let's give him MVP. Are you serious, folks? Matt Ryan's never been better than Aaron Rodgers. He's never been better than Drew Brees. Never been better than Tom Brady. Never been an elite quarterback. And by the way, Matt Ryan's playoff resume, let's continue. He's blown a double-digit lead in the past in the playoffs to Colin Kaepernick. And he had a very good team that year. Matt Ryan lost 24-2 to the New York Giants in a playoff game. Scored 2 points with those weapons that he had. He's had Tony Gonzalez. He's had Julio Jones. He's had all sorts of good weapons throughout his career. And you can only score 2 points in a playoff game. This guy, Matt Ryan, has also lost to Nick Foles in the playoffs. Everyone talks about the Falcons' defense. Well, that day versus Nick Foles, the defense only allowed 15 points. Matt Ryan can only score 10. Sadly, Matt Ryan just came up small. He did. He's come up small time and time in the playoffs. He's underachieved constantly in the regular season. Matt Ryan has been on some darn good football teams, and he has not won a Super Bowl. That's a disappointment. The fact that Matt Ryan has not won a Super Bowl based on the rosters that he's been given year in and year out, it's a shame. Phillip Rivers would kill to have Matt Ryan's weapons. Eli Manning would have killed to have Matt Ryan's weapons. I'm just saying, people. Right now, Matt Ryan, he's an overrated quarterback. He's no longer a top 10 quarterback. I take no pleasure in saying that because I think that Matt Ryan, throughout most of his prime, was actually an underrated quarterback. But when you continue to underachieve each year, when you continue to perform not great under pressure, when you continue to choke away these playoff games, eventually you have to start taking some of the blame. And it's so amazing to me how everyone just absolves Matt Ryan of criticism. They blame the coaching staff. They blame the offensive line. They blame the weapons. They blame the defense so many times when in reality, Matt Ryan has not gotten it done when it has mattered most. Matt Ryan has slowly become an overrated quarterback. He for a while was an underrated quarterback, but now Matt Ryan, he's overrated because Falcons fans, they continue to tell me he's top 10 in his position. They continue to tell me that he's great. They continue to tell me I'm a moron. Anytime I bring up Matt Ryan's struggles, guess what, Falcons fans? I've won the battle. Matt Ryan, he's no longer that great of a quarterback. He's no longer a top 10 quarterback. He's become an overrated quarterback. The Falcons probably should have traded him in the offseason because you'd be in a much better position today if you traded Matt Ryan away and maybe got things started with a young quarterback, but you didn't do that. So it is what it is. I think that the Falcons would be best served if they drafted a young quarterback this year to learn behind Matt Ryan, to sit and develop. Listen, when I say the Falcons should move on from Matt Ryan, it's really not an indictment on Matt Ryan. It's just that he's past his prime, man. You've seen how far you can go with Matt Ryan as your starting quarterback. You can get to a Super Bowl. You can have a lead in the Super Bowl. But that lead was squandered, and Matt Ryan, he deserves blame for that because he stopped moving the ball in the second half. I saw that fumble that gave the Patriots a great opportunity to win the game, okay? That fumble was not ideal. It put Tom Brady right in position to score an easy 7 points, and the Patriots, they were right back in the ball game. Matt Ryan did not get it done when it mattered most in the playoffs. The Falcons have reached their peak with Matt Ryan. So in reality, people, Matt Ryan, he's an overrated quarterback. He's no longer a top 10 quarterback. And Falcons fans, guess what? I won the battle. You owe me an apology. Well, folks, that's pretty much all I have today. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Have a God bless day, everyone. And I'm Ghost. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.